Hello, wonderful people. Hey. I'm so excited to have y'all here today. And we have a list of topics that Aaron was kind and responsible enough to compile for me. But departing away from the original list for a second, Ophie mentioned like I don't know, controversy around dark romance or something like that. And I don't know what that is. And that piques my curiosity. So please tell me more. I want to be in other people's business.
Yeah, absolutely. So I get served a lot of videos to me on like people who are in BookTok or whatever, where they just read something that they know they're gonna hate, and then they talk about it. And sometimes that can be fun. Like I enjoy somebody being a hater, but sometimes the way that they're like hating on something is they'll read something and then they'll come tell their audience like, this is so dangerous. This is like teaching women the wrong ideas. These books where there are like these boyfriends who are like, portrayed as romantic, but they're like these controlling characters or whatever. They're saying like that is what is causing women to be abused. This is normalizing abuse. This is normalizing toxic relationships and stuff. And so I feel like there's a lot of censorship that arises from that. There's a lot of like, once you have this idea that a certain type of art can be moral and good, you're kind of just recreating the Hays Code, which is what I feel like I'm seeing a lot of people leaning into and not realizing that they're doing. So I started getting really frustrated about these like dark romance novel criticisms where they're not even really engaging with the work itself. They're not saying like, here's my critical analysis, here's what I think. They're just kind of saying like, this is bad and we shouldn't let women read it. But they think that they're doing that in this way that's like protecting women, and so super pro, sorry, stumbling on my words. They think they're doing that in a way that's so like protecting women and super pro survivor, and they don't realize that they're doing the exact same stuff that the people who want to censor queer art are doing.
It's the book world equivalent of carceral feminism.
Yes. Yeah.
I That's so funny because one, I didn't know people hate read things. Hate watch. I knew people hate follow. I knew people hate watch, both of which have always seemed crazy to me. But hate reading is a different kind of hater. Like that's a different level of energy to go read something, like to go spend the time to go read a full book you consciously knew you weren't gonna like is crazy. I feel like on the rare occasion I read a book that I don't like, I am so shocked and upset at this level of I feel some kind of deceived, like wow, time really I feel like I feel like it'd be blown. You ever start reading a book, like, because anytime you buy a book, I thought, if we're not crazy people, anytime you buy a book, it's because you like think, oh, that looks good. I might
Mhm.
like that. That might be a good read. So you buy a book with this, it's gonna be some good in this. So when you finally sit down to crack open a book that you was excited to read, and it's as you start to like, you're confused, and you start to be like, hold on. Am I seeing? Hold on. It's see bestseller. What's going on? Hey, let me see what's happening. So the idea that somebody consciously set out to read books that they know they hate is a little bit wild to me. I also, I think there's always place for, you could critique things, but to what you're saying, critique things substantively or say what you don't like about the thing or why have you, but that's an entirely different. First of all, the idea alone that you think abuse in our patriarchal, misogynistic world, our sexist world that legalized and justified and was okayed abuse towards women and stuff for eons and eons and eons. Like the idea that, oh, these novels, that's what's going to do it. I think there's something to be said about the romanticization of bad men and bad relationships and all these different things and how that shows up all throughout our life and overall indoctrination. You could say that about a lot of things, right? Like fairy tales and shit. But that's a whole different jump to say we shouldn't be reading these. These shouldn't exist. I think that's wild. So which books don't they like?
They don't like a lot of things. I hear a lot because of course we have the whole Blake Lively thing. I think part of why everybody was so excited to hate Blake Lively is because they also hate the author of the book that the
Yeah.
movie she was in was based on. Because
Yeah.
Colleen Hoover gets brought up a lot. People really hate Colleen Hoover, and like,
Oh, I hate her too.
yeah,
What you
there's
do?
fair reasons for that. I don't think that she's a super talented author. I think that her writing
Mhm.
level is like actually pretty pedestrian.
Yeah.
And also like she's getting a lot of heat from people who like romance novels because her books don't fit like the archetypal, like, if it is a romance novel, they're supposed to end together. And sometimes it just doesn't do that. Sometimes she's writing something that's just like about a shitty relationship that ends, and then because nobody knows where to shelf her works, they put it in the romance section. And so people who are
Mm.
reading it thinking that they're going to get, the the beat by beat that is like mandated for romance read that and they hate her for that. And I think like that's also fine. It's fine to like be frustrated and to criticize it. I think she's probably the most like well-reasoned hated author on the list of these people, because I feel like she's the jumping off point. People know they can get like a good handful of views if they read
What
a
did she
Colleen
do?
Hoover
So
book
what
they
did
hate.
she say crazy things? Mike, why do you hate her?
I don't have like a very good reason to hate her. I read a lot of like when I usually read sci-fi books. But whenever I deviate, I'll read books by Frida McFadden. I've read like 9 or 10 of her books, and this is an author that writes a lot of books that are tailored for middle-aged white women, and for whatever reason it resonates with me. I think I have an inner like white woman inside of me. And so through that, I got recommended Colleen Hoover books like on my algorithm. And I've read a couple of previews of her books, and they are dog shit. They're so boring. So I've never gotten far enough to like be a reasonable hater, but I've read
So
just
you hate
like
her
a
just
chapter
because
or
the
two.
books are bad.
Yeah, I'm like, why are you recommending me this trash
You're
based on Frida
such a
McFadden?
funny person to be a content creator. And so you and Lance are so funny to me how y'all maintain your audience ethic. You're like y'all refuse to identify with the creator. You're like, no, I'm the audience and I hate you because this is bad.
I'm always siding
Disproportionate.
with the audience.
You
Yeah.
said, oh, I hate it, so I hate you.
Right. It's just like if you wasted my time and I read like maybe 3 chapters from Colleen Hoover most, that's enough for me to just be like, okay, well,
You know
you're
how
done forever. I hate
genuinely
you.
hilarious it is, the idea that like someone can make some art, and just because you don't like not because the art offended you even,
Hmm.
not because like they did or said something. It's just like I did not enjoy this in a way that makes me hate you.
To be fair, I do feel like I get that in my comment section after I make a
Yeah.
video.
Yeah,
Really?
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The audience, Mike is audience brain.
I
That's
am.
exactly. Yeah, as
I
Mike said,
read
no,
through a
it's true.
whole book from this author. So it was a book on BookTok that I found. It was called A Little Life. And
Yeah.
everybody that watched it, or excuse me, that read it, they were talking about how emotional it made them. And they were crying. And like, there's even like dudes that were like these masculine looking dudes with tears coming down their eyes, being like, when I reached this chapter. So I thought, let me read this book just to see, because my soul is completely dead inside. I don't think this book can make me cry, and it didn't. I hated the character. I hated all of the characters in it, and I read like a couple hundred pages, and then something interesting happens, but then it gets boring again, and another 100 pages. So I ended up finishing the book, and by the end, it's like, what was the point of this? The author literally just wasted my time on something with no payoff, and
Which
all
book was
these
this?
people recommended it. It was called A Little Life. I can't remember the name of the author. I can get it really quick. It's so unnecessarily long. The main character is self-loathing, has trauma, so understandably somebody who is trying to work through that, but at the same time,
Is it?
just not likable. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
I
Yeah.
was just
That's
about to
the
show
one.
it to you. Yeah,
I
yeah.
think I read like 20 pages of that, and yeah, I was just not like
Oh,
super
thank you for
proud.
saying
I was
that.
just like, I also saw so many people saying that it was incredible, and I was like, maybe it gets incredible later, but I'm not getting far enough
Maybe it
into
gets
this.
incredible
No,
later. Is
it just describes extremely disgusting things. Like there's scenes in it that are like sexual assault, self-harm, that actually made me like feel nauseous. And it's like, why am I putting myself through this when there's nothing on the back end? Like there's no broad there's no like there's no payoff whatsoever. You don't feel good. You don't learn anything. It's just this character is self-loathing. They hate themselves. They went through trauma, and that's it. It's like, okay, well, thank you. I didn't cry during this, but it made me depressed. Like, is that what they were going for? Why were people crying at this? What scene was making you tear up? Like everything was, you could see everything that was happening in the whole book. It was relatively predictable until the end, but even after that, it's just like, oh, okay, well, this thing happened. I get that this is where they cried, but at this point, I'm so annoyed by the characters that it's like, fuck them. I don't care.
why was the book like it? Because I know why the movie, like all the controversy around the movie, but I remember like briefly like seeing people be like, well, the book had also sucked. They had their problems with Colleen Hoover. They had issues with the book. What was the big controversy? Like, what don't people like about this book?
I think a lot of it is they don't like that it didn't end with the characters actually getting together who were in the romance. It kind of ends with this, like, maybe they'll get together in the future because she wants to write a second book. So then she wrote a second book called It Starts With Us because it's a very creative sequel title for It Ends With Us. So people didn't like that because they felt like they read this book that's primarily about this girl, Lily, and her relationship with her abusive ex named Ryle. And so they were like frustrated that most of the book was about that. But like, I think that it's totally fine for there to be books about that. Like, I think that it's fine if somebody wants to write something where it's like, let's maybe examine what somebody coming out of domestic violence would look like.
Who did they want her to be in a relationship with?
They wanted her to be in a relationship with this other guy named Atlas, which was like her childhood best friend who she does end up getting back together with. He was not in the movie very much. I didn't read the book. I have not read a Colleen Hoover book. He wasn't in the movie very much.
It's
like
in
he
front of
was
me
there.
on Amazon right now.
Sorry?
Maybe I need to just buy the book and read this book.
Yeah. It's like I said before, her writing style is like it's very easy to read, which I think is why you get a lot of people who will proudly tell you how much they don't typically like to read, who really like to read Colleen Hoover. So they like it because it's like it's these very short sentences, it's very like simple writing. But she's writing in this very accessible style, but she's starting to talk about like these more heavy themes that I think people do want to explore. And I just wish that a lot of the people who want to explore that kind of thing were reading better fiction that is doing a better job of being like, oh, this is because there can be really great novels about like domestic violence, and It Ends With Us was just not necessarily one of them. But I don't think that means that it's like entirely worthless either. It's just not for me.
How many of the people do we think that are calling her book ass, like her book's ass, have read them? Like, I've read them in its entirety. How many people do we think?
I think a lot of people have read bits and pieces that get circulated and they get quoted, and I think more people have watched the hate videos.
And that's really my problem. Like, as somebody who's on the side of the creator, like my fellow audience brain creators, I feel like it is so people. It's interesting because we could know how hard it is to really judge something by a clip, but whenever we see clips and excerpts, it always feels like, no, I have a good idea what the fuck this is. I'm not fucking with this. This is shitty. But I'm like, what are the odds if this bitch wrote entire books? You know what I mean? That the people who are reading them to their entire, like in its entirety, like them. Why is like the lead opposition for hating them people who haven't read that? I feel like in a normal world, how I think books should be consumed is like the people who critique a book theoretically should be people who are just as much a part of the community reading them as the ones who like it, right? Like a book club, right? Like we all read this and I hate this passionately because I really did read it. But it feels almost like the same level of like, you know how, and I guess it makes sense, like BookTok is still existing within the social media, you know what I mean? Creation, whatever element of, we all are talking about what everybody else is talking about. It's like, ooh, that's what's trending. You know what I mean? I see a bit of that. That's what's viral. That's what's that. And we're all jumping in. And so if you see a bunch of like a million clips of this seeming ass, or you seeing some previews, or like Mike said, I read 3 whole fucking chapters or paragraphs and it was ass, pages and it was ass. I get it, but I'm like, oh, poor lady.
She could be a completely nice lady. Her book didn't resonate with me. Perhaps if she watched a Humanist Report video, she'd feel the same way. Like, fuck this guy, this smug asshole. Like, it's okay.
I also think it's funny. I just want to got the book. I added it to my delivery for tomorrow. So I'm like, you know what? Let me read it. Because if it is ass, I'm coming back to bring y'all to tell y'all it's ass. I read it.
I want to hear your thoughts on it.
But I do think it's funny that like everybody was kicking Blake Lively's back in for like the floral, like her floral outfits and all that, whatever, doing the thing when there's flowers in the cover of this book.
Yes! Oh my God, thank you. Does it not look exactly like the cover? Like that is exactly how they marketed it. They did a coloring book. Colleen Hoover did an It Ends With Us coloring book long before Blake Lively wore a dress he didn't like to the premiere.
Flowers. I'm like, yeah, this seems consistent. That seems like how one might deem it. Yes. I'm just like, You know, child. But I am very interested in buying some bad books. Some books that y'all say are bad. Like that. I actually will create a shelf for bad books y'all have recommended to me. So what else? You said that one, The Little Life, was ass. That's what
Mhm.
you said, Mike. We're gonna add that
It's
to our
so
delivery.
long is the problem. It's like 800 pages, so it's an investment.
No, he didn't. You read.
I read. That's why I was so mad, because it's like this
No,
book took me so long to read.
No, if I read 800 pages of ass, you have to come see me. You have to come see
Yeah.
me. We have to fight. That's crazy. That's longer than
Yeah.
Obama's book, which I also haven't read.
Is it really?
Yes, because I think
Damn.
Obama's book is like 700 and something pages. I haven't read.
700 pages?
And I remember this was supposed to be like part one. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see.
Oh my
Yep.
god.
Yep. I ain't lying. This motherfucker has.
What does he have to say
700
for 700 pages? Does
Quite
he
a bit.
atone
He
for
said
his
this
war
is
crimes?
Part one.
Part one.
You get off Obama's ass. Yeah, I think that's like 750 pages.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Not
yeah,
one
yeah,
chapter
Obama-
on the
He's
drone
saying, I tell you
strikes.
to say, I've lived a long life. I was like kind of the first black president. I don't know if you know, like a lot happened.
I had a question just in regards to what Ophi said about accessible writing. And
Yeah.
because I understand to a point, because I read a book that I gave to you, Olay, for your birthday, actually, which is the She Who Became the Sun.
Yeah.
That was like the first adult fiction, not like sexual, but like not a YA novel that I had read in a long time, because once I became an adult and I stopped reading for a little while, that book is fire. It's so good. But like coming and remembering my enjoyment of YA novels, I went back to read some of them, like Percy Jackson, that I loved when I was a kid. And like I started reading it again, I was like, wow, this is written for a 12-year-old. Like I am not really entertained by this right now. Like this was my favorite thing ever when I was 14. But like when I'm reading this now, I'm just like, oh, this is written for kids. I can't really be as entertained with it as I was back then, which I had the opposite experience with television and cartoons, but with books specifically, it was like that experience for me. But when I went to go read that book, it felt hard for me to read at first. And I was like, she's using so many words and adjectives. And I'm just like, get to the point already. And then my wife yelled at me. She's like, no, she's doing a really good job at writing this book. Appreciate it. And like after I got used to the writing style, I was like, oh, this is really good. I actually just had to like work my brain on my like reading skills for the first time in a while to appreciate it. And when I think about accessible writing, but also in a sense of like, is it accessible because those authors are not very skilled and practiced writers who have gone through like good writing critique to get better, or are they writing accessibly on purpose for people that don't read that often? And I feel like because of the lowered bar for publishing from online publishing to start your writing career, it's probably more the former of like people that aren't really the best at writing, just like throwing out books. And then because it's accessible, it gets big. And I'm like, is there anyone out there that's writing accessibly for adults on purpose with like actually good material and writing?
Yes. So I always recommend Andy Weir. So he wrote The Martian. He also wrote Project Hail Mary, which is going to be adapted to a movie with Ryan Gosling next year. So he writes very accessibly because he writes from a first-person perspective. And it's just like, it feels normal. Like if you're thinking, you wouldn't use you wouldn't have a massive vocabulary. You're just thinking. You're not trying to sound like sophisticated. You're not trying to describe the environment with a ton of words. So his writing is very accessible, but at the same time, it is extremely technical and detailed, where he'll describe like scientific
I was
concepts.
going to say it was looking like that when I looked it up just now. I was like, pass.
Well, but here's the thing though. The readability comes in with that, because for me, like, I'm not like, science and math is very difficult for me. But if you read like Project Hail Mary, that's probably my favorite book of all time. They explain a lot of really complex like scientific concepts, but in a super digestible way. And the entire book is so entertaining. The characters are really relatable, I think, because it's so readable, because they're just regular people. And so, yeah, I think that it just depends on the author.
I have no faith,
Blake
but I'm
Crouch is
buying it
another
now.
one.
I'm buying it now upon your recommendation, even
Yeah,
though it doesn't look
please,
appealing
please,
to me.
please read it before the movie comes out, and don't watch any trailers until after you read the book,
When does the
because they
movie come
haven't.
out?
It comes out in March of next year,
Okay, so
but
I'll
the
read it.
trailer is available, and they spoil the best part of the book. So please go
Okay.
in blind completely. It killed me to see them reveal this in the trailer. Don't watch the trailer.
I hate it
Okay,
when they
will
do
do.
that.
Will
Yeah,
do.
it hurt
The
me
art of the
so
trailer
bad.
has died, I think. I haven't watched a trailer in years.
Yeah. Just if you read Project Hail Mary, go in blind. That's what I did. And like I was reading this book, I was like, I couldn't wait to wake up and tell my husband like what happened next. Like, oh my god, like this shit happened. And, like it's crazy. Like that's all I'll say because it's just like probably my favorite book of all time. I'm reading it for the second time now. It's so good.
Okay, say less. Literally purchased. Oh, speaking
Perfect.
and to what you were saying, Aaron, about how you read the book and you realized that you were like it's being written for 12-year-olds. So I have I read this book recently, or I read half of it, or like 75%
Is this
of
the
it, and
one you told
decided
me
I don't
about?
like it. Right, the one I sound like.
Yeah, the that one author.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I bought a few books by him that all look real. I haven't given up on the author yet because I have a couple of other books by him that look really good and I have to read them first and see. But this one right here, I really didn't like it. It's called Mapping the Interior. It sounded good. I'll read you the back. It says, times have been tough for 12-year-old Junior, his mom, and especially for his younger brother Dino. When his dad makes a surprise visit late one night, Junior is desperate to make him part of their family again. The only problem is dad drowned 8 years ago, and bringing back the dead always comes at a cost. Sounds really interesting.
Mm.
It's not what The Rock is cooking. But more importantly, what I really don't like about it is the protagonist, the narrator, is this 12-year-old boy, but his thoughts in no way sound, it does not sound like a 12-year-old boy. I'm like, a 12-year-old boy isn't using words like, I remember like out the gate. I just like, I'm like, what did he say? He say shit like look, goal oriented on the first page. Like, come on, no, you know what I mean? Like
12?
petulant, like
No
a 12-year-old doesn't
12-year-old.
talk like this. Like, it was to the point where it was so off-putting to me that I was like, is it him as an adult telling me about when he was a 12-year-old? And I'm like, no,
Mhm.
it's him, the 12-year-old in real time. And I'm
It
like,
just takes you out of it. I
yeah,
was
I'm
reading
like,
a book
I
by
can't
Stephen
follow
King
that.
like that, where it's called Fairy Tale, and it was from the perspective of a 17-year-old. And he keeps making these boomer references. Like he referenced Abbott and Costello, and I'm like, what? And to be fair though, like the kid does watch older movies and TV shows, but I'm sorry, I can't find that relatable. I don't think a 17-year-old is watching these old shows. They're not going to be referencing Abbott and
And that also
Costello.
just feels convenient. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
like that's convenient because that's what you can speak to. Like, oh
Right.
yeah, like my young person does only old people shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that's a thing. I'm gonna read. I'm gonna buy the Colleen Hoover book and I'm gonna read it because I think that could be a thing. I think the last time I really read any author that was considered like like seen in that kind of light, like they came from the internet or a fan fiction or Wattpad kind of world, was Twilight. You know what I mean? And I was in high school, and so I remember reading Twilight and knowing that this is, and Lord, I hate that J.K. Rowling is somebody a bitch used to hold in high esteem as a writer in high school. Now I can't even. But I remember in high school, look how things have gone. Like, look how that battle went. It used to be, oh, between Twilight and Harry Potter, J.K. obviously has it, but I don't know old girl from Twilight to do anything transphobic, fund any kind of campaigns. But anyway,
She's Mormon. She's extremely Mormon.
Really?
Yeah.
is she Mormon?
I didn't know this.
Did she do anything? Did she be saying anything crazy? She just
So there's this thing that was in like the illustrated guide for her Twilight compendium that people have later tried to say somebody else must have added. But so she puts out this whole like lore Bible for her Twilight universe, and she says all my vampires are white because the vampire venom takes away the melanin. And then later, when they make the movie, the director said that she also was told she couldn't have any of the vampires be people of color. So I think there's a lot of Mormonism in what Stephanie Meyer was doing. People try to give her a pass, but I don't understand how something that specific would make it into her Twilight Illustrated guide if she didn't have that idea.
You know what's funny though? she is not alone in, like, she's being a Mormon. She's given a specific justification or rationale, but consistently in vampire adaptions, vampires are goddamn white supremacists. They in Vampire Diaries, Confederates, all the witches are black. They're being wiped out. They're in New Orleans. They're being wiped out by the vampires. It's a consistent thing. Like in the original Interview with a Vampire, not the reboot, the show. Also, white guys who like had plantation money and shit. Like, it's a consistent thing. So that does not shock me. That's actually, there's so much to be unpacked about this, because consistently werewolves are usually kind of people of color or spicy white or something or other. And they also get denigrated, torn apart, dismissed, and like they're treated as an afterthought in like vampire and werewolf media and in media, in kind of the same way that we treat people of color and black characters and regular things. So it's interesting. Like witches are often portrayed as black, like you see in the Vampire Diaries, like you see in the originals, like you often see, and they're often being wiped the fuck out by the vampire. You notice the vampires are always the ones that are glorified. Think about it. In this little universe of cinematic, there are never vampires without werewolves, without witches, without all these. And they damn near always represent these particular racial groups or ethnic groups or something like that. And the vampires are always the center. How often of all the shows, Twilight, True Blood, Vampire Diaries, the originals, the list goes on, how often do werewolves get to shine? And they are always like throwaway characters or whatever have you. So that makes sense that a bitch that's on that like, ooh, white time would like her some vampires. That reads. I know she was mad as hell when they gave her that one black vampire in the movie.
I feel like this isn't on purpose, but the vampires being portrayed that way, it feels like an ingrained understanding of that vampires are predators, and what they could be an allegory for in real life is real predators, which are white supremacists, people that are, privileged and on top and take advantage of everyone else below them.
And I think
it's because like they are a predator for the human race. Like vampires are the humans' only predator in that case.
I think we see it, and I think that's the right way to see it. We see it as like, why that makes sense, right? These white people as the vampires because predators. But I think they see it as the vampires are powerful. The vampires are the most powerful, and that's why they're white. The vampires are the one, like all the witches and the werewolves all age. They all age and die. None of them have the same immortality that the vampires have. So the vampires are always these white They literally think about how often vampire media, they are literally portrayed as having been in the Confederacy. Like in True Blood, Bill was literally in the Confederacy. Stefan and Damien were literally Confederate soldiers. Fucking, it's a consistent thing. So that's what I think it is. It's like this level of, it's the same way Jesus and all the deities got to be white and everything, right? Like, oh, the most powerful, they live forever, they're considered beautiful, they're considered so smart, they're considered unstoppable, they're all these things. And so what? White. Like, it gotta be white. The witches, we have y'all doing the bidding and all the deeds of, and the werewolves, everybody, y'all serve us. Y'all know what you are. You know what you are, like spicy white at best. Spicy white at best. How did we get here? What were we really supposed to talk about today, Aaron?
Also, like, it's so funny because white people age the worst out of any race on the planet. So, like,
that's why. And quiet as kept. That's why they need that fantasy. That's why they need it. They need them vampires.
That's so funny. I never thought of that.
Yeah,
like,
I never put that
write
together.
this down
That's the only way you
for
can
a
be an
pop
old white
production
person
at some point or
Oh,
something.
I definitely listen. I have this song on my heart. There is that thing, you're a YouTuber when like a video you might not even like have watched it, but I promise you, there's a YouTube video, I've seen it there, like in passing on the Confederacy element of like vampire
Princess
shows.
Weeks. I'm pretty sure that's Princess Weeks. Princess Weeks has an amazing video about the
Go ahead, my
Confederacy.
YouTube watcher, my fellow. That's exactly what I went to look up. Thank you. Yes. This is a thing. Yeah, I gotta watch it. I'm gonna watch her video, and if I decide like, yeah, she ate that 10 out of 10 out of that, and I'm not gonna make it because I don't know if I'm like the only YouTuber that's like that, but if I watch a video and I think, oh, this person, they said what needed to be said, I'm like, Why would I come here with my own lowly adoption?
It was
Repeating the
exactly
same
the
thing.
experience that I had when I watched your Megan Thee Stallion video. I was like, I have nothing to add.
Oh,
This
I
is it.
love that. Oh, that's such a nice feeling. Thank you for that. Ah, I love that. That's so great. Thank you. Now I'm gonna go ahead and store that in my underrated videos category in my
It's
mind.
so
That's what I'm gonna
good.
say.
It's so good.
You
So
know, just like
what's
bam.
the cuck stuff? What are we talking about?
So it all started with this video, this is a behind the scenes while they were filming. This is a scene where Lois Lane and Clark Kent are in Lois's apartment and they're being lovey-dovey. That's their acting.
Okay.
And then you can hear the director in the background call cut while they're filming this. Can you hear this?
Cut. Great. Okay. Cut. Great. Okay.
So the controversy comes in. Controversy.
Is she married?
They're both married. They're both married actors. But the controversy comes in is that she kisses him, which is part of the scene. It does happen in the movie. And then the director calls cut in between the two kisses that she was giving. So people, like commenters are being like, oh, she wanted to keep kissing him, not as an actress, as a part in the movie. That's what they're...
Let me play it again. Let me
interpolating.
play it again. I'm going to need to watch it a few more times. Let me examine the evidence.
Cut. Great. Okay. Cut. Great. Okay.
I guess
She's still in character. She might have not heard him call cut. Like, if you're acting, I would imagine that you are, like, in a different space mentally. So I feel like this is kind of a nothing burger.
So where are they going with it? I want to hear what's the overall. Where does the cuck stuff come in?
So we get to this ridiculousness. There is an Instagram comment on like a version of a post with that video on it on Instagram where someone said, "It's genuinely sad to see your career, the husband's career."
Okay, who's that? He's an actor too, eh?
Yes.
And what is he playing?
Jason Ralph.
What's
He's
he-
not in this movie.
What's he from?
They were both in Marvelous Miss Maisel together.
Oh, okay. All right. Proceed.
That's his like most like prominent role.
Did they
It's
kiss
genuinely sad to see your career being tucked out to be remembered as a cuckold because your wife couldn't handle herself with a co-actor. Like, bro, let's have some self-love and stand up for yourself, man. Leave her to be with him if she wants. Sometimes I just want to kill people, you know. Like, I want you to understand, like, I really hate comment sections. Like, I really wish you could just go get people's address and go beat them up. Because do you even know what words mean? You know what a cuckold is? You know what a cuckold is? Was that like...
Mhm.
A cuckold is a man in the corner watching them fuck. These people on the job. This is what they on the job. I don't even think the man is there. They at job. They at work. They're on the set. And then he's supposed to leave his wife because what? Stand up for yourself. Or you got, and you know that's something like the incel community. The manosphere is gonna be the death of the world. You know,
Mhm.
the manosphere is the worst thing to happen to us because like. What? And
Yeah,
so
this feels like
is this a
so-
Trump comment? How many likes does this comment even have? Why are they reporting on this?
Because the husband liked it, right?
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah,
the husband
he-
liked it.
He liked the comment. His account liked the comment.
well then, I take back everything I said. And her
Wow.
husband is a bitch ass. Like, this is crazy.
Well, there's further like theories about whether or not he liked it. People are saying maybe he liked it sarcastically, or if he's liking it being stupid.
No, if he had read the person for filth and then pinned the comment, then okay, yeah, that was to eat them up. Liking the comment and going and saying nothing else. And when you like the comment, like, you know, on Instagram, when you have like a follow, it says liked by author. Like, it's there to highlight that
Mm.
you liked that comment. Ain't no accident.
This feels like something he should be discussing with his wife and not like on the internet, not liking comments. If you have a problem, why aren't you talking this over with her personally and privately? Like, that's really weird.
Also,
Yeah, and if he does have...
I'm sorry, you go, Ophie.
Oh, sorry. I was
No,
just
you
going
go.
to say, if he does have a problem with it, what does he have a problem with? He has a problem with her being at work, having a job? Like, it didn't seem like she was, like, making out with him all sloppy. Like, to me, that clip looked like she was
Right.
kissing him, and, like, she probably
There aren't any
had it-
reports from like behind the scenes
Also,
rumors of them being like.
And also,
whatever.
that comment speaks to more than just like whatever that thing is. That comment starts with, it's sad, like it's sad that your career, like it suggests that his career is wherever it is because of this woman. Like so that's speaking to way more like fuck this man. It gives jealousy. It gives you are jealous and it's like last time I checked, I didn't watch that show, but I knew she was the star of it. I didn't know him, so I'm like, what are we saying, sir? He's a bum. I officially, there's nothing anybody can tell me further that I'm not gonna be convinced this man is a hating bum and her shadow is hating.
He's not a literal cuckold, but he's giving cuck energy because this is like a really weird beta male response, a passive aggressive way to kind of like go after your wife. It's just very weird to me. I don't like it.
Also, what a weird day to like defend cuckoldry, but I don't. Honestly, I don't understand why it gets. Well, I do understand why. I understand masculine, like patriarch, all the different things, why people perceive it this way. But this idea that it has anything to do with like a man's masculinity or shame or something to like embarrassment or something, how this man is behaving, this is showing me that in your real waking life, you are insecure about your wife's career, success, whatever. You don't feel secure or whatever, her working all this is the next thing. It tells me a bunch of things. Cuckoldry is about sexual pleasure and like if you like porn, if you like porn, and you watch porn, the idea that cuckoldry is so egregious to you is based purely in the idea of like power dynamics and ownership and all of this different thing. Like that's it. The idea that it's like unfathomable to you, like why someone could be into that. Like the fact that we just jump over any level of like sexual pleasure or gratification that comes into that as though we don't like porn. Like people understand voyeurism, they understand like in porn, they like understand all these other things, but cuckoldry is like, why? Because you think like ownership, you think it's about masculinity and all this other bullshit that makes no sense when really it would be about security. A man, I know he's not a cuckold because a cuckold would be secure. A cuckold would not be carrying on, crashing out on the internet about this little kiss. So I just wanted to say that, like, and before anybody says no foolishness, my man is not a cuckold, but I'm just saying that I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And this idea that how people use it to emasculate men, stupid, goofy.
That probably
silly.
has to do with the cultural norm of monogamy and like feeling like if you're breaking monogamy in any way, it's like a sign of weakness on like the man's.
Except they in mind. I mean, it's if right now if the same scenario was a threesome and another woman they would be talking about him like he's the man. You know what I mean? So it's not that. You know what I mean? Inherently, it's about how like this man's ability to see him at the top of a hierarchy and to dominate or whatever. Because what it is, the idea of a cuckold introduces the idea that there's a man that's more masculine than him, that's higher on the totem pole than him. Like all it's about is maintaining the appearance of this man's like domination in the room. Like you don't mind a threesome if it's another woman because he dominates over them. But if it can't be ain't no threesome. The only way for men to like reframe a threesome where there's two men, that's why they call it a train, is though that's the only way to try to like reframe masculinity in their brain, because otherwise, it's gay and something to da 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 da.
It's weird that even if they like cuckoldry, it's still like they can't accept it. Like it challenges their masculinity. And I say this because there was a stream that I saw clips of Sneeko and Kanye West. They both were like talking about this, how they were cuckolded, and then that like kind of set them off, or at least with regard to Sneeko, it set him off on this like manosphere path. Kanye West too, I guess seemingly liked it, but then ended up feeling emasculated by it. I'm not really sure. Like that's something that the straight dudes need to work out amongst themselves. Like if you like it, just enjoy it. Otherwise, don't make it all of our problems by like becoming hyper misogynistic and going down these weird paths. Because I mean, like,
so you feel emasculated, but you told millions of people about it.
Right, which I personally would not do. If something made me feel emasculated or bad, I would not broadcast that to the rest of the world just because I'm a normal person.
Yeah,
really
so I guess she's innocent. Elfie.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say it really does feel like adding fuel to the fire to even like that kind of thing. I just wanted to agree with what you said about like if he had replied and he had been like, fuck you, I'm confident with my wife, that would have been one thing. And like
Right.
I'm trying to think what kind of like negative comments about myself I could like and be like, for sure people would think that's ironic. And like no, people would either think that I'm agreeing with them or they would be like, why would she do that? But like if it was shitting on my wife, I would assume that people were going to think me liking that meant that I agreed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, that's doomed. I know. Any woman, it's so unfortunate because so many women end up with men who are haters, who are just jealous. And there's no magic way to avoid it. People will do a situation and it'll be like, they'll see something like this and be like, oh, that's why you're supposed to date a man that's so much more successful than you or bigger than you or whatever. And then like the same thing will happen. You know what I mean? Because again, this is what misogyny and like sexism and stuff breeds. So there's nothing you can do to avoid it. It's just unfortunate when you see somebody like, oh, she's having a moment. She's a big movie, is being successful. And here is her husband making headlines because he just needs some way that he's jealous, he's insecure, he needs to be because he knows what that's gonna do. When you click like on that comment and then people see that, you know that that people are gonna start talking about that. And it tells me like you just want some attention so bad at your wife's expense. Like I'd have to throw him out my house. He'd had to go. He'd have been out of there. Like, and especially you try, oh, I accidentally liked it. And you know what's the funny thing? Once he liked it, you know, a million other people then click like in the comments. So he's seeing there's no way in which he missed that. You know what I mean? And your notifications, it's, you know what he did. So, yeah.
All right.
Well, Aaron.
I think we have enough time for one more of these. One
Do
more
we
of our topics here.
Y'all can choose.
I will
Well,
say
versus
that
Sorry.
that story about the masculinity dovetails really well into the male cheerleader because what's that guy's name? Kevin Sorbo was like at the centerpiece of it, and you could very easily psychoanalyze him and how his masculinity was threatened in response.
Well,
Okay, so what's the story? Because haven't there always been male cheerleaders?
Yes, there has been. Anybody who watched Bring It On knows this firsthand.
Beautiful, and they were beautiful.
So this is the video and also the tweet that kind of sparked this
I've been a
discussion.
Vikings fan all my life. Sorry, I need a new team now.
Yeah, this is just cheerleaders making a TikTok.
Because there's a black woman and a man and a gay man?
No, people aren't talking about the black woman. They're just talking about him.
Yeah,
And
They're talking
can you
about
click
him.
on the picture of Kevin Sorbo really quick?
So
So this is the guy who is saying this. Now, if you go down to the replies, which is, you don't really want to do this on Twitter, but people very quickly pointed out that this man looked identical to that gay cheerleader
And also,
when he was younger. Right.
Oh.
Yes.
I didn't know that. He's
And-
not as an actor. Oh, y'all know this person, Kevin Sorbo. This is somebody.
Yeah.
he
He played
not-
Hercules.
he's acted.
I've never heard of him.
Yeah, he was in God's Not Dead as well. Very, very
That's
huge
what I
star.
know him from. Thank you.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I've never heard any of these things.
What's so funny to me is you could tell that this was about him feeling insecure because he's done a lot of really gay things in his career. If you Google Hercules Dancing Queen, there's a scene of him dancing in a very effeminate way, limp wrist and all. And so it's funny that he now
Yeah, I
feels
get
the
it
need to
now.
reinforce this idea that he's a big, strong man by shitting on this twink who he doesn't even know. And to me, like, him doing this just kind of like tells us more about him than the cheerleader. It shows that like you are very insecure either with your masculinity or your sexuality, and you're trying to hash that out in real time. But we don't need to know what's going on in your brain. Like we get that this gave you feelings in certain ways, but we don't need to know about these feelings that you're having, Kevin Sorbo.
Aaron,
Is this it?
Yes.
That's it. Yeah, you're gonna want to hit mute. Yeah.
Oh yeah, don't need an actual Dancing Queen playing.
Yes.
Currently, it just feels like he's
It's me
dancing.
wanting to play the
Wait
music.
for it.
Basically.
Limp wrist.
Mhm.
Very, very gay coded.
I don't know, Kevin.
Tweets-
He tweets weird right wing things a lot. He gets
Yeah.
involved in right wing discourse a
Also
lot.
known for Christian films. Okay.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, in God's
Why
Not
were
Dead,
y'all
he
watching
plays-
Christian films?
I am not watching Christian films.
he plays like this professor at a college who like has an assignment where the students in his class need to prove that God is dead because he's like such a militant atheist. But then he dies and he like accepts Jesus at the very last minute after he got hit by a car. Like, it is the stupidest shit I've ever seen in my life.
I watched that movie from start to finish, Opie, and I can co-sign everything she's saying.
How did that come into your like consciousness? Like, where did you hear about that movie to watch that? Was that playing on regulars TV?
Oh, I was raised very Christian. I was raised with people who were
Same.
watching that unironically when it came out.
Where'd they
Also,
get it?
I saw it everywhere in terms of when it came out. Like it was like a big discourse thing of people talking about
Yeah.
this like
Wow.
Yeah,
Christian propaganda film.
a lot of Christian movies will go like directly to a Christian streaming service or something, but at least the first God's Not Dead definitely got like a full theatrical release. I think all of them might have, but like definitely at least the first one was playing in theaters.
Wow, I'm
Mhm.
always grateful to be Black, but exceptionally in this moment because we had Tyler Perry plays, and this is what y'all was watching. I hate this for you. Like,
I was-
like,
Olay, to be perfectly fair,
Tyler Perry when Tyler Perry plays in the streets.
to be perfectly fair, Olay, I've seen almost all of Tyler Perry's movies because my evangelical family loves it.
See, they got it. They got what they should be watching. So that people. So I mean, how many likes does this get? 70.
Another quote retweet.
No,
of
that
Kevin
ass.
Sorbo.
How many likes did his original tweet get on this cesspool that is Twitter? 18,000. Okay.
But look at all the replies.
10,000 replies.
He retweeted this because he needed his right-wing friends to come in and defend him because a lot of people were shitting on him. Because this is a very like
This is
that's
who the reply
response.
for. He got rating and they shouldn't the replies.
Yeah.
That's funny as hell.
Yeah, there's a what was it? I found this video of this guy talking about this.
This guy also played a gay character. He has a gay sex scene in one of his movies.
Because I'm looking at him right now in this freeze frame.
Yeah, this is not a straight man.
Just look at the freeze frame. Yeah, just look at it. Look it in.
I don't think
Well,
that he's 100%
Almost
gay. I
every
think that he's
single right-wing
bisexual.
commentator is a failed Hollywood actor or writer. All of them.
Right.
I think a lot of these right-wing men are bisexual.
Yeah. Well, for Michael Knowles in particular, I would say that he's probably a 4 on the Kinsey scale, maybe a 4.5. So even though he has some attraction to women, he's almost like always interested in men. Or
How do you
saw-
know these people? Who is this? Where'd y'all see this guy?
Michael Knowles, he's part of the Daily Wire. He is the more extreme Ben Shapiro, who's talked about trans people needing to be eradicated. This is what he said at I think it was, I don't know
In
where it
between
was at.
Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro. In terms
Yeah,
of
I don't know if this was
extremism.
CPAC or not, but he said he made headlines for that and then doubled down and said, "Oh, it's not actually. I'm not talking about genocide." So like he's one of those people who is like, "Teehee, I'm not calling for people to be killed. I'm just saying they need to be eradicated from society," as if that makes like his comments feel any more sanitized or whatnot. But yeah, just a terrible person who is hiding a lot of deep dark
Bizarre
secrets.
video shows like new male cheerleaders. First of all, bizarre video. Also, there've always been male cheerleaders. Why do they keep saying that? Like this guy is like
They just invented them.
Yeah.
Like male cheerleaders are literally ancient news at this point, are they not?
It really feels like they keep saying male cheerleader,
But they want to say
like,
gay.
They want to say gay cheerleader.
Yeah.
Because he's being effeminate. Because there's a lot of male cheerleaders that look very straight coded and are big buff guys. Because you got to be strong if you're going to be like, throwing girls up in the air and like.
They want to say,
like
look
that.
at this gay man.
I mean, I'm a lesbian. I'm not attracted to men or anything, but like, I think he looks plenty cute. He looks happy. He looks like he's having a good time. Like, I can't imagine looking at this and having such an issue.
Well, that's the problem. First of all, like
that's exactly why
men
the
being
excuse.
like happy and dancing and smiling all that is considered. It will get them called zesty and gay in a heartbeat.
Well,
That's
and then
exactly
the
it.
excuse
He's like, you
for
already
male
look gay, and you're
cheerleaders.
beaming and dancing like you're gay, and you're a cheerleader. You're triply gay.
Yeah.
I think the excuse for male cheerleaders also is like if they're straight coded looking, it's like you're there to like fuck all the hot cheerleaders. Like that's like really manly if you're there to go have sex.
You're
with
there
a
to
bunch
trick
of hot
them, to
cheerleaders.
be into their safe space and trick them into
someone
thinking you're safe.
Right. Someone who's obviously like gay coded and not there to be, a predator or to like up your masculinity. It's like,
well, and this guy right here, he's very clearly comfortable in his own skin.
Yeah.
And you could see that people like Kevin Sorbo, not comfortable in his own skin, always having to prove how straight he is. And just look at the views, by the way, on this video. Like the outrage bait doesn't
21,000
you have
hit
millions
anymore.
of views, and it's only 20,000 views.
Yeah,
It
is
people
funny
are
though
over
how
the
Ben Shapiro and
anti-woke
Daily
snowflake
Wire
shit.
have fallen off.
They
fallen off,
have.
which is wonderful. But it's funny what he says directly after this. We don't need to watch the whole video again.
I'm not a football fan. I don't watch football.
We
I
know.
watch baseball, and baseball doesn't have this. Baseball's made some errors in recent years. They got a little too into BLM, but otherwise, generally baseball stays kind of normal. Hockey stays kind of normal. Football, though, I think we have to conclude professional football, the NFL, is one of the furthest left institutions in America. Isn't that bizarre?
Oh, sorry, Jesus Christ.
First of all, Mike, I see exactly what you were saying. I've never actually seen this man talk before. Like, I've just seen quotes of him before. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Thank you. Thank you.
Still there. Yeah, I see it.
The
Yep.
NFL that had
things that
had
NFL
Christian
is one of the
ads.
further.
The NFL that had Christian ads in the Super Bowl
The
last year.
NFL is one of the NFL. Wow, this is crazy. I can't even. I'm so blown away by what's gonna come next. All right, let's play.
You wouldn't have thought that 10 years ago, but I go down the list. They protest the American flag. They disrespect the national anthem. They promote the weird.
Individuals did, and they kicked them off, never to play football again. When he says they protested the American flag,
They didn't kill them.
Colin
for
Kaepernick
protesting the
did,
American
and
flag.
never played football again.
They like came just short of not like instituting the death penalty when these people protested the American
That-
flag. So that
they
means the
were
NFL was
Furious.
protesting.
I'm like, I feel like I remember they got like Obama to tell him to stop.
Right.
Yes.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg too.
Yeah.
She also said that she called Colin Kaepernick an idiot.
Mhm. Yes, that did happen.
That pissed me off a lot. Yeah, this is Michael Knowles, the straight guy who was mad about a gay cheerleader.
I remember when this screenshot was going on.
And student film, so this is a choice. Like this ain't like
Yeah, you don't have to
Student
make your
film,
student
like, he
film
made
gay.
like
Yeah.
student film. He made this choice. Like no
You
one
can turn on the
wasn't,
volume
like,
for
This
this.
wasn't like his big break. He had to like have it like, let's go back. Let's
Yeah, because this one you won't get copyright claimed. I've shared this clip a million times myself.
That was wow. Thanks. Have you not done it with many?
Mind if we don't get into that?
Oh yeah, sure. It's that's not a lot, is it?
Can I get a towel?
That shot was a choice.
Yeah.
I'm just like the most left-leaning. Is this normal, Michael Knowles? Is this normal?
I love how he's the one that's more comfortable with the decision. Like,
What-
yeah,
what's
and then
his-
this
what's-
guy on the
what's
right
his
is like, oh, what did
explanation?
I just do?
What's his explanation for this?
I think that I don't know if he's ever addressed it to the extent that he has. I believe it was like brushed aside. His supporters always just kind of poo-poo this, like, oh, who cares? He was acting or whatever. But it's like, no. You can't just like shoo this away when you've made your entire career about gay people and trans people are the devil. So you don't get to just do that. Like, that's not, no, I'm sorry, this makes you a hypocrite. This is a student film. Again, you could have made your student film straight. You chose to make it gay. You chose to film this scene. Same like Kevin Sorbo. He chose to film a gay kiss and meet the Spartans. When you get to heaven, do you think God's going to be like, oh, well, you were just acting? Okay, you get to, no, you go to hell. I'll see you there,
According to you.
brother. Like,
Okay, let's play it. Okay, let's see.
Rainbow stuff. I guess a lot of sports leagues promote the rainbow stuff, but they hire
The rainbow stuff. Pause.
gender bending cheerleaders.
Gender bending.
how's he
cheerleader.
gender bending?
Cheerleaders in like big puffy sweaters or something. It's like really flamboyant, effeminate male cheerleader. What is the audience?
As opposed to this masculine, manly man.
The NFL is chasing a left-wing audience. They don't realize we don't do that anymore. That was 7 months ago. The Jaguar TV commercial
Notice the
was 7
cigars
months
also.
ago.
There's so many signals.
don't
Like
do
you
that
watch it, think he's
anymore.
a.
That was 7 months ago. Meanwhile, his video's flopping.
Yep.
This guy
I'm like,
is
what do you mean we
performing-
don't do gay anymore? He's like, June's over.
But it
That's the
tells
month
you
we let
though,
you
it
be
says
gay.
a lot about how they perceive the election. He's trying to say that's this year. He's saying, Trump was elected, and so now fuck all that gay stuff. I don't want to see them. It's back to the status quo. That's what he's arguing. But saying rainbow stuff about seeing one gay guy in football, but you out here in your free time writing gay movies for you to star in is crazy.
The transing everybody was like 18 months ago. We're in Sydney Sweeney land now. We're in American Eagle land. American Eagle shows a little bit of Sydney Sweeney's skin and just tells her to look beautiful and talk normal. And their market cap goes up $200 million in one day, jumps 10%. NFL,
look beautiful and talk normal.
They didn't get the message. I do not understand people tuning into the NFL at this point.
It's really funny to say we don't virtue signal anymore. So virtue signal to us now. We're not pandering to the left. We all need to pander to the right because 6 months ago the inauguration happened. Like that is just so that's the thing is that was my first impression on seeing that fucking Sydney Sweeney ad was like, this is pandering to the current president. Like I don't think that any of, I know a lot of people have had a lot of critiques of rainbow capitalism, which like my take has always been, we're not going to like what's after it. But like a lot of people had critiques of that, but like that wasn't happening because Obama was in office, because it was still happening during Trump won. But like, I feel like this is the first time that I'm seeing like these companies so openly being like, yeah, we're doing that same Daily Wire grift. We're doing that anti-woke shit. We're going to sell you the only two genders razors on regular TV and not just on the Daily Wire. It's wild.
Am I tripping? Or is this man Latino? Or something? He doesn't even look at... Y'all ain't noticing that y'all can't see that this is somebody pretending to be white? Like, I'm looking at him and I'm like...
What you're saying, Olay, is deeply offensive to him. The allegation that he's a spicy white, he would not take that very well.
Can't we see that, though? Y'all can see it, right? You can look at him and see he don't look like y'all, right? Can't y'all see that? Look at just...
I feel maybe he has like one parent.
White people, look at Aaron, look at Mike, look at Ophi, look at y'all. Look at yourselves right now and look at him next to y'all. Y'all can't see that there's something there? Oh my God, everybody that got away with passing in y'all town. Oh my Jesus. This man is... Let me go look it up, because I know Latino or indigenous heritage when I see it. Listen, this is not an Aryan raced white man. I'm not gonna put up with this.
He would not pass the one drop test for the Nazis. He would not be welcomed into the ethno
Italian.
And like, are those Cuban? Are those Cuban cigars?
Really? I was not expecting Italian.
Yep. I knew something like that was coming.
Italian POC.
Yeah, I see some.
Interesting.
I'm telling you, this is not a thoroughbred white man. This is somebody trying to be.
Notice though, there's the cigars, and if you look at like Steven Crowder, he has his gun on his desk, his holsters. Like they are trying so hard to virtue signal and tell everybody, as Ophi was saying earlier, like they're performing for their audiences. They're trying to be masculine, and it comes off as so phony. And unless you were the stupidest person, you're gonna see right through them. They're deeply, deeply insecure. You never see Steven Crowder as confident as when he's in drag. Like he is voguing, he's feeling himself. And then when you see him in his masculine mode, he looks deeply uncomfortable. He looks miserable. He can only be himself when he's dressed as a woman. Like, these people are so transparent. I'm sorry.
Motherfuckers who's sitting up talking about identity politics and you bad and we don't do that no more and yada, yada, yada. But you're from New York, you're Italian, and you studied Italian in college. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Like, shut up. You shut the fuck up. And I don't even believe, like, let me tell you something. You ever watch those movies? There's an episode in Degrassi. There's an old episode of Degrassi where Hazel is Paige's black best friend. Hazel is she's from like Sudan, I think, or something, somewhere like that. And she pretends to be from Jamaica because she thinks like she doesn't, she thinks it'll be easier to blend in, be accepted or whatever this way. I telling you, I know a Latino pretending to be an Italian. Ain't nobody can convince me. I know you can't convince me. And everybody, listen, fight me, bring me up with whatever charges. I know what I know. I know what I see. I know what he is, and he is not fooling me. He's not fooling me. This is a cosplayer. Like, I'm looking at him, I'm like, sir, look at you. Look at you. You are brown.
We're-
You have a brownness to you. I know,
We're
by white people
investigating him.
standards, you're a brown person.
Oh, you're tan investigating him.
I am. I 1000%. Yes, I'm accusing him. Let me go on the record. I am officially accusing him of being an undercover POC.
He's also
Can we
an
get a-
undercover bisexual man,
Yeah,
so there's a lot he's
I
not
don't
telling
think he's that
us.
undercover. I can
Somebody
see,
get
I'm
the
like,
New
there's
York
more
Post.
stuff that I
Somebody
can
get the New
see.
York Post on this. We can get a New York
No.
Post article out.
Because I'm like,
Olurin
it's so clear to
accuses.
just look at him.
Hmm.
Like, I can't believe the every time I see with the right, like, who I like learn of some new right wing popular figure, I'm just blown away. Just for the word.
Right.
Do you
Where do they
know?
get these people?
Do you know anything about the comments section YouTube channel, Olay?
No.
Okay, so that is where Brett Cooper got her start, and she's kind of like the lady Ben Shapiro. And then currently, because she left Daily Wire, they have her replaced. And they replaced her with her former best friend, who was the maid of honor at her wedding, and they don't talk anymore. They don't talk anymore because they had a big falling out over one of them leaving Daily Wire and the other one not leaving it. I am usually so good at not watching these right-wing propaganda videos, but I have started because for some reason, this woman, Reagan Conrad, she keeps making the same exact kind of videos that all of these, like, progressive or, like, apolitical commentary videos are making. Like, she'll say the same shit, she'll do the same layout, she just does the same, like, let's watch a couple TikToks of a woman and laugh at her thing. And it's so fascinating to me. I have not one other time in my life understood when people are saying, like, oh, I watched this man and he says all this vile, hateful shit. I'm like, why would you do that to yourself? And then they put some girls doing it in front of me and I'm like, this is a train wreck. I can't look away.
I've never like watched these people, but I watched a YouTube video once on like the downfall of the Daily Wire, and so I learned about it there. First of all, the original girl's name you say really does literally look like
Yeah,
Ben Shapiro.
it's crazy.
The fall off on their views from going from that original girl to this new girl is astronomical.
I've not seen this.
Like,
They kept
it's
the
funny,
same
'cause when
channel
she
'cause
first-
they already had like 1 million subscribers. So rather
Oh,
than
that's not
making this
smart.
new girl Reagan, who like she has no riz, she's just
Yeah.
rizless. She's like kind of starting to find her footing a little bit more, but like for some reason Brett Cooper has the juice. Like I don't like what she's saying, I don't enjoy it, I don't co-sign it, but like she's relatively charismatic. And then they just put this other white lady in there to fill the void when she left, and like nobody kept watching. Nobody
because,
kept
first of all, I
watching.
hate so many like people they don't like to build channels brick by brick. They think they're just gonna siphon off like the original whatever, and all you're doing is killing the like channel and the algorithm or whatever have you to just start something new. But where did the other girl go? What's her name? Brett Cooper?
Brett Cooper, she started her own YouTube channel. So she's now doing pretty much the same thing Candace is, where she's like doing Daily Wire but by herself.
Oh,
Yeah. And her numbers are amazing. So
Running pro-family ads. American Eagle is bringing back hotness thanks to Sydney Sweeney and the social justice.
Also, the original Brett Cooper setup, I remember when she
saying
first
bringing
came
back
out.
hotness, and I'm looking at this like strikingly average white woman is because again, that's what it's saying. Like they believe the beauty standard is to be white. To be white and to be finished, to be default beautiful. It doesn't matter what you look like. You're like, you could be looking at any strikingly average. You wouldn't look at this, but like if the streets was flooding and she was running down the street and the river calling for help, you wouldn't run out to help her. Regular looking gal, and then
are we sure that this isn't Ben Shapiro though? Have we ever seen them in the same room together? Because I'm still not convinced that this
She
isn't just Ben
literally
Shapiro.
does.
Can we
Just
talk
like
about
him.
how
And
her
she's not his
logo in the
daughter.
lower left-hand corner looks like it was shittily cut out of a white background? Like they don't
Oh,
have like an
wow.
actual PNG of her logo. They just
Ugh.
it looks so bad.
Also, yes, she looks more like Ben Shapiro than Ben Shapiro's sister Abby does. Like
Yes!
they're the same person.
Abby Shapiro. Who's that? Who are
Serious.
all these people? We're
Oh,
learning of
Abby
sister.
Shapiro,
Ben-
the Ben's sister with her one.
Oh,
I just
know
love the
exactly
fake
what you're gonna
tweets.
say,
I just
Aaron.
love the fake tweets where Ben Shapiro is like, my sister has wonderful large breasts, and she is way more beautiful than these leftists.
And there's another one where it's a fake tweet, and he's like, "This picture of my sister is so beautiful. She's pregnant and glowing. I've been staring at this image for hours."
I just love those. But when Brett Cooper first came to the Daily Wire, her setup had the bisexual lighting in the background, and literally I remember Hassan covering it because they were like, they just stole, like they're just doing Hassan's stream but right wing. Like it was literally like they were trying to build up like a female right wing Hassan on the Daily Wire.
It's this entire like look they have where it's supposed to be like a call back to like old fashioned. Like look how her hair is in this outfit and even the background layout. Like, it doesn't
And
even
it
look
started
natural.
this whole like,
Yeah, and
oh
that's
gosh, what is it called? Like a bracket, basically.
that's her like trying to like grow herself up, because like Erin was saying, her initial setup was like an e-girl streamer situation. She would sit there with these big white headphones over her ears, and like it was very,
Amber Heard
yeah.
sat down for a 10-minute
Of course
long
it's Amber Heard.
tell-all piece with Savannah Guthrie from the Today Show. All of them.
Why does she look like AI in this video?
She looks more like Ben Shapiro with the makeup.
Yeah.
I like the header on our channel, but yeah, it's crazy. It's really like sad how popular these absolute idiot bigots are, and who I honestly find untalented. I don't even find them like charismatic, entertaining. Like I'm not looking at anything like as a creator. I'm deeply unimpressed in every way, shape, or form.
You all probably think
Yeah, it looks like the logo looks good here, and then in the lower thing, it looks like she just like shittily cut it out in
Yeah.
Photoshop of the header and put it in
Yeah,
there.
I do really like that header, but that's it.
I don't like it. I think it's too busy.
You don't like it?
I feel like there's just too much stuff going on. I like very simple designs. Unless the colors, like, I feel like the colors are clashing with each other. Like in your background, Olay, like, I think it looks really good because the colors go together. I feel like that just doesn't go together. It's something about it that's, like, bugging me.
The C has like too much stuff behind it between the C and
Yeah.
the O. It looks weird. It's bothering me.
Y'all,
Yeah.
y'all said, oh, we both hate
The
it.
T, and it, like, it looks like an I. It looks like the Bright Cooper.
Yeah.
I just don't like it.
Well, that was all I had for her, so she
We're taking it away, Olay. I'm so
Right.
sorry. She gets nothing.
Oh, Mike, I just saw you got to 700,000 subscribers. Congratulations,
Yes,
friend.
thank you,
That's
thank you,
amazing.
thank
That's
you.
amazing. I went to go look at your header and I saw it. I was like, oh, 700 clean.
Long time coming,
That
yeah.
is amazing, friend. Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
Did you do anything to
Yeah.
celebrate?
No, I
Look at
did not.
you.
I took the day off because I was burnt out.
Get yourself a little cake or something.
Maybe I will. I got myself ice cream, not necessarily to celebrate, but I got a little pint, and yeah, so I kind of did.
Let's see. Let me go on, y'all. I am gonna need for you to actually take some little breaks, Ophi. Ophi, I'm gonna share your one of your videos on my community page. That's what I'm
Oh,
doing now
thank
instead of
you.
officially like ending this episode for like in the appropriate way.
Thank you so much.
I'm like, let me go do that. I saw a video from another white lady yesterday too that I liked. That was a Sydney Sweeney video too. Her name was like was Barbara something. It was good. It was really good. And I was like, oh, I need to share this. But then I was watching it and I was like, shit, this bitch talked about some things that I'm gonna talk about in my production. Goddamn it, I gotta share it after. I was like, you're stealing my thunder. Where was it? I was gonna send it to you, Aaron. Like, oh, this is good. Have y'all seen? Let me recommend it to y'all.
Are you working on a Sydney Sweeney video, Olay?
No, I did. Aaron's in editing it. I've been working on this video called "The Politics of Ugliness" for like the last 2 months on like lookism and
interesting.
whatnot. So I touch on her in there, but it's a whole big thing, child. I was working on
Oh,
it.
okay.
I've
My
been
husband and I,
crazy
we
for it.
binged your videos one night.
Oh, what
I for-
videos? What channel?
So the one, I can't remember what other two we watched. They were just like auto playing. And they were really, the one that stood out to us was the Aziza Ansari one, because
that one.
we had never known about the Aziza Ansari stuff. But when
Yeah.
you were going through the details, I was like, we were both stunned. Like, what the fuck? Like,
Because
I had,
people just had it as like, oh, it was a bad date.
yeah, because I never had looked into it. But actually knowing the details, it's like, I'm sorry. how is this man not nuked into orbit? Like, you're sticking your fingers in her mouth. That is the most disgusting thing. And the way no, like, so yeah, it was crazy to us because like I've not been in the dating scene in a very long, like me and my husband have been together for like 15 years. So like all this shit that like, and like explaining the dynamics of like straight people as well is so bizarre to know how like you have to play this game. The way you explained it was really well. I can't recite it back to you, but like how
Thank
women
you.
like, you know, they feel pressured to feel as if like they need to.
I can't say yes explicitly like
Yeah,
I want.
that was
and
so
blah, blah.
interesting to me. Never ever occurred to me. So yeah.
You know what's funny? You know how I ended up writing that? That was my first production that I put the year as I do monthly productions on Olurinatti. How it happened was I was over to Christmas at some point. I was like talking to my friend. I was like talking to my friend. I was talking to my friend, and then I called Aaron. I had the same conversation to like talk about to Aaron about whether or not I thought I could write it with it. Like, how can I like relay this in a way that, you know, people get with nuance? But what happened was I was talking about Aziz Ansari. Me and my friend were talking about that. We were talking about different things because I was like, you know, where the fuck is Aziz? I haven't seen Aziz in a while since that thing happened, and I reflected on it as though it were like bullshit. You know what I mean? Like what he got canceled for or whatever. And then I looked it up to like my friend, like, and I was like, oh, yeah, I'm looking up and I read it, and I was like, I read this. I could have sworn I read this in 2019, and I don't remember it like this. So what does that say about like? I was like, I was thinking about it like this, and I'm like, well, why was I thinking about it like this? And it's because a lot of how our dating culture goes and blah blah blah. And then that was a whole like, there's a lot I think that needs to be said about this in rape culture. Really, like, call Aaron, like, because some things you talk about, like Twitter, I wouldn't have been able to like make any of those arguments on a larger case on a place like Twitter. Like, there's just no one nuance for it. So I'm just like, am I gonna be able to like relay what I'm trying to say and people in a way they don't like pitchfork, like when you just try to like explain things or whatever?
Yeah.
So I was so surprised. I loved that went that well. Like that it was such a well-received video. Like people were like, oh, this is great. I was like, oh, you two think so good. I didn't know if y'all was gonna be mad. I don't know, you know? Like,
yeah, no, you did so good. And like part of it is I was already like sympathetic to your position because I agree with you on like so much anyway. But I genuinely I went in open-minded because I didn't know which way you were gonna go based on the title, and I had no knowledge of it. So I was like shocked. Like my mouth was like open. I'm like, what the fuck? Like this, how is this okay? And this is like a normal thing, which is why people were dismissing it. This is normal? What is wrong with people? It was mind-blowing to me.
Good. I'm so glad. I hope, honestly, I like my productions I love them. They're my favorite, but that one wasn't a lot of work. Actually, fitting up Disease video for it to go so well and people think it's so deep and so smart. I wrote that in the wee hours of the night one morning when I couldn't sleep. Like while CJ, I'm like, oh, like I'm gonna write this real quick and go back to bed. So I'm so glad that video is like loved the way it is.
I'm trying to remember what were the other, because we watched a shit ton of videos the night. I'm trying to remember. The Aziz Ansari one stood out the most, but I can't remember which ones.
Yeah, the Aziz Ansari one is the first one of yours that I found, and I was just like immediately obsessed. I loved it so much because I remembered like bits and pieces about that case, and I remember
just on the
thinking,
productions
you know,
playlist,
again,
right?
like I mentioned earlier, I'm a lesbian. I don't date men. I don't have like those experiences of like what heterosexual dating culture is. So my memory of it was just like, this was really fucked up, and people aren't talking about how it was fucked up. So like seeing your approach and like hearing about, you know, the pressures that women are under when they're dating men, it made a lot of sense to me, and it just wasn't a perspective that I already had. And that's when I subscribed to everything. I also really, really love your videos about how I met your mother. Those are like some of my favorite. I think they're so fun.
Thank you. I love, people do love the How I Met Your Mother videos. Also, something we stumbled into. We did the Lily video as a fluke at the time. That was the first Olurinatti pop video for the year. I love that everybody loves the first video of each channel for this year. The Lily video we did, and at first it was like a 10 of 10, like nobody in my audience watched How I Met Your Mother, and then all of a sudden everyone was like, we love this, shot to the top, there'll never be a as watched video. And I'm like, wow. And it's funny because people love it so much and I never watch it because when I click play on it, I sound sick to me because I know I was sick, like I was literally congested, like I could barely breathe, and that's all I could hear. I'm like, oh, you don't see me struggling. Oh, that made me
I found I watched the other ones where it was the second video you did about Eric Adams, and we watched how this didn't age well destroyed media literacy.
Oh yeah.
So we watched all these videos in one night. It was very fun.
I think my This Didn't Age Well media literacy might be my favorite production of the year thus far. Like,
He's good.
Maybe till the Politics of Ugliness comes out because I put my fucking back into that. I'm really excited about that. But I like my media literacy one because That's what I be thinking about all the time. Like every time, like, you know, that's all when you think about it in a way, that's what everybody's always discussing, right? Like shows, things like analysis of media is all we do in our social media kind of world. And it's very crazy when people just don't know how to analyze shit. I'd be so tired. Like you can't like, people are like, oh my God, how could you like that? I'd be like, yes. Please, everybody simmer down. Let's all temper this down. Let's have some better reaction.
Yeah, it was necessary.
Yeah. No, thank y'all so much for doing this show today. This was so much fun.
Thank you for having
thanks
me
for
on.
the
It's been a
invite.
blast.
Stop what you're doing and listen up. You just watched a video on one of my channels, but the Olurinatti verse is huge, and I want to tell you what everything is and how to find it. The Olurinatti verse has 6 channels. On the YouTube homepage of any one of those channels, every single channel in the Olurinatti verse is featured at the bottom of the page, so you can always easily find them. Okay? Remember I said that. Don't say I ain't tell you how to find it. Subscribe to my main channel, Olurinatti, to find my Olurinatti productions, which are my long-form video essays, and also all of my backlog of content. Subscribe to my second love child, Olurinatti Pop, for my weekly video essays analyzing my favorite TV and movie shows and characters. Olurinatti Pop also has its own Patreon where you get all of those videos uncensored. Subscribe to my channel, Olay and Friends, for my podcast, Olay and Friends. New episodes of Olay and Friends come out every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Subscribe to Olay and Chill for new episodes of my podcast, Olay and Chill, every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. And also, both Olay and Friends and Olay and Chill are both available on streaming platforms like Spotify. Subscribe to Olurinatti Bites if you want my takes, but you don't have an hour to spend. Subscribe to Olurinatti Politics for my political analysis and my State of the Union type addresses on my show O Squared. And last but not least, subscribe to my Substack Olurinatti for my written work.